I mean, that does lead on to the conversation as well, Crookie, of like, what type of midfielder would be the perfect partner for Kobbie Mainoo? We know how much Man United want to invest into that area, and rightly so. We know about Baleba, Wharton, Anderson, but we've seen a lot of links with Tonali recently, most recently Bruno Guimaraes as well. Yes, they could be more difficult deals to do. What's the latest on those? And away from the speculation, who and what do you think is the right midfielder to partner alongside Kobbie?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's pretty clear that the United recruitment model this summer is going to be similar to last. I think they're favouring players proven in the Premier League. All of those players that you've just mentioned are obviously coming from domestic clubs. They're all very different profiles, I would say that. And up until recently, I was being told they might sign more than one central midfielder, but obviously the form of Kobbie Mainoo may change that approach. A couple of other names that have been mentioned to me in the last couple of days, Matheus Fernandes at West Ham, I think is starting to play really well for them. And a cheaper option, potentially, if you're just looking for extra numbers in midfield, Hayden Hackney at Middlesbrough. Obviously, someone who played under Michael Carrick, someone who a lot of Premier League clubs have looked at. So it wouldn't surprise me if they sign one of those big guns that you're talking about, the likes of Wharton or Baleba or Anderson, maybe even Tonali, and then bring in a Hayden Hackney and a Matheus Fernandes to supplement that, because I'm just not convinced they're going to be able to spend the level of money to sign, say, Baleba and Wharton. You're talking in excess of £200 million.
Yeah, I agree. And who do you think, Crookie, what do you think Kobbie needs next to him most? Is it someone like Wharton who can dictate play? Is it an all-action, someone with legs who can do both ends of the game, like Anderson, like Tonali? Is it like an 8 and 6 hybrid like Bruno Guimaraes? What do you think complements Kobbie Mainoo the best?
This might sound strange because he's not having the best season at Brighton, but I think Carlos Baleba would be the perfect foil for Kobbie Mainoo, because I do think he's more of that sitting midfielder, because Kobbie's big strength for me is carrying the ball, and gobbling up the ground and turning defence into attack. So therefore, I think he needs someone solid who's just going to sit there in behind him. Wharton's range of passing is terrific, but we've already got Bruno Fernandes who can do that. I guess if you're looking for a combination of the two, Baleba and Wharton, then that would be Elliot Anderson or Sandro Tonali. So it'll be fascinating to see which of those players United stumble upon. The nagging sense in my mind when you look at what happened last summer, and again they made inquiries in January, is that Baleba has always been their number one target from that list of players that we talk about.
Do you think that's changed because he's had a difficult season? You see on a lot
Apparently
of United
not.
fans saying, no, he hasn't listened, he's been terrible this year and this, that and the other. At the minimum, the price will go down, but some people have sort of said if he's sort of buckled under the pressure with having a bit of speculation to come to United, what's it going to be like when you actually get here?
Yeah, I can see that argument, and there were times I was watching him at the start of the season. He was being taken off at half time, every game. But I think you've got to look at Brighton as a club, and they've not had the type of season that many expected. I think Fabian Hertzler has found it tough going at times, so he won't be the only Brighton player who's underperformed. And from what I'm told, the hierarchy aren't overly concerned about that. Maybe, as you say, because it might just knock a few zeros off the price tag.
What do you think, Ange, in terms of the Anderson, Wharton, Tonali, Baleba? We always hear the names in the lead up to the transfer window.
Yeah, of course we do. And I think Crook makes a good point. The fact that they have been continuously talking about Carlos Baleba or having these discussions, etc. It seems to point to that. I'd be interested to see, who ends up going to the World Cup for England. Obviously,
does Kobbie go? Has he got a chance? Probably not.
Well, he's back in the picture, according to Tuchel.
Yeah, Ange got it out of him. He's back in the picture.
Yeah.
Ange, got us the exclusive there. Good work. But do you think he gets back in this next England team coming up?
Well, this next camp, I would be very, very interested to see if Shaw, Maguire or Mainoo gets called up, because I think when you look at the centre-back pairings, I don't think that Mark Gay has got... Me and Sam Matterface were talking about this on the talkSPORT Daily. Does Mark Gay have his solid centre-back pairing for England yet? We're not too sure. No. I think you look at somebody like John Stones, who has been struggling, he's not getting game time. So if you want... I'm not saying that Harry Maguire would pair up with Mark Gay, but if you want somebody who's a little bit older, maybe more experienced, to be on the bench for England, if he was looking at a John Stones, and that's maybe not going to happen because he's been injured and he's not been playing, is Harry Maguire maybe another option that they would consider? You think about the left-back position, that is up for debate. You've got somebody like Lewis Hall. We've seen Nico O'Reilly playing there for England, but he's more in midfield now for City. Is he going to have a look in the midfield? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure, but go on, Crook, you've got your finger up. You'd like to ask something?
No, I was just going to say, I've actually been asked to write a piece for the talkSPORT website today because it's 100 days as we record this until the World Cup, and they wanted me to put together a sort of Thomas Tuchel in-tray of the matters he needs to address before the tournament. And two of my points were sort out the left-back position. He's used 6 left-backs in 10 games, Thomas Tuchel. But I think if you go back to the last Euros, it was only really when Luke Shaw came into the team towards the end of the quarter-final, played a half in the semi-final, start of the final. But we needed him for balance, and I think he's got that big game experience. I think he's definitely got to be a big part of the conversation. And one of my standalone points is recall Harry Maguire, because we know that Mark Gay will be the first choice centre-back. Who partners him? Possibly Esri Concert, although Villa's form has tailed off, and his has as well. John Stones can't be relied upon to stay fit. He hasn't played for England, Maguire, since September 2024, so he's not been in any of the squads that Tuchel has picked since replacing Sir Gareth Southgate and Lee Carsley. But as he told you, Ange, Harry Maguire is part of his plans, and I've got a feeling he might be in for this March camp.
He went to that West Ham game. He admitted that he went to that West Ham game to watch. Yeah. I mean, you're watching Jared Bowen. He went to watch Manchester United. He said, I thought that they would be in the starting 11. I was right, they were. So there's definitely a case for it. I think for Cobby, there's so much talent in the midfield. I think it might be a little bit too late for him.
I think he gets in, guys. I don't think so at all.
Do you think he goes to the World Cup?
I think Tuchel has to get him in now because we're running out of
the camp in March. I think he's got a look in.
Have a look in, and I think once he has a look, I think he says, yeah.
I hope it happens.
Yeah, I'm having some of this. Having some of this. I personally, listen, it is a bit biased.
Yeah.
But I don't think Thomas Tuchel's a football man. I don't think he's going to look at Cobby doing really well in training, holding his own against all the top players that our country has to offer, and go, nah, I'm all right. He won't pass.
The thing is,
Cobby's going to the World Cup.
Even though Thomas Tuchel has extended his contract, he's still been brought in for this tournament to win. And
he's going to have a better chance of doing that with Cobby.
No, but I agree with you, but he has got the mentality. He's not here to, I should think about this person and that or whatever. He's there to win.
That's why I think he goes.
So I think he will be ruthless in that sense.
I don't think he'll be doing it out of pressure. I absolutely agree with you. Thomas Tuchel isn't going to be like, this is England's golden boy. Like he'll be like Amrin, where he's like, listen, you lot really want him to play. If I don't think he's that good, he ain't playing. But I think Thomas Tuchel will appreciate him. I think he will. I honestly really do.
I think he'll appreciate him if he's in this next camp. I'm not as confident about the World Cup, but I would love it if it did happen.
Crook, is he going?
I would love it. Kevin Keegan has come back to life there.
Is he going? Is Cobby going to go?
I hope he's in the squad. The kids want me to take him to one of the England games in March, and I'm not that excited about friendly football. But if Cobby's in the squad, and if Shaw and Maguire are as well, then I might
get an England shirt with Cobby on the back.
I think he's. Well, my daughter's already got one of those, but I do think it's probably too little, too late. I think you've got Declan Rice is now on. Obviously, Elliot Anderson. I think Tuchel absolutely loves the balance that he brings to the team. If you're looking at those sort of holding midfielders. I guess there is a debate between Cobby and Wharton.
Exactly.
On form in recent weeks.
I'm telling you, Cobby Mainoo is going to be on. Tommy Tooks, he understands football. He knows the assignment. He's a real football man, and I'm going to stick my neck on the line. He's going to the World Cup, Cobby Mainoo.
I hope you're right.
Yes, I will be.
I genuinely hope you're right.
In terms of the other midfielder we need to talk about as well, Crookie, is Casemiro. Obviously, he is leaving. But how much of a void is he actually going to leave? Because at one point, yes, to go back to the football leaves you and all that stuff, this, that and the other, he was washed, he was finished. He's one of our most important players. More so, look, Carrick's leaving him on now. He's not trying to take any chances of... We all know the stats that support the theory that when he leaves the football pitch, we are worse.
Things go wrong, yeah.
Things go wrong. Ruben Amorim found out the hard way, being 3-0 up against flipping Brighton, I think it was at the time. And then we started conceding. And the stats say that when Ugarte comes on for Casemiro, etc., we struggle. He's going to be a big hole to fill, isn't he?
Yeah, not just in terms of what he's still capable of doing on the pitch, but I think in the dressing room he's a massive character. You can tell the players absolutely adore him, and actually he obviously loves being at Manchester United. You only have to look at his family's social media posts to see that. So yeah, listen, I think it's the right decision, particularly on his current wages.
Absolutely.
I guess the question now is if he was prepared to take a significant cut is there maybe an argument for keeping him around for another year? Or I think Ange would probably say he's not the future of Manchester United. Is it time to cut the cord and move on?
She loves that line.
Yeah.
If he wanted to stay and
he ain't taking a pay cut. He's already said he's going.
If he said he wanted to take 80 grand a week, mate, I'd give him another year, 100%. But he ain't going to do that. You're right. And they've already called it in. Unless there's a miraculous turn of events where they're like, do you know what? One last try, we'll renegotiate. I can't see it.
Yeah, no, saying maybe there'll be one last dance, but
What is interesting about Casemiro though is he's actually quite difficult to replace now. Not difficult because there's a good menu to choose from, but if you look at them, there's not really a like for like for him.
No.
So he gives you good presence in both boxes. Aerially, he's good scoring goals with his head. He's good, defensively with headers. He can spot a pass. But what he doesn't give you is that all-out mobility, that tenacity to get after people, help you play on the front foot, help you play higher up. So we just need like a
younger version of him, basically.
Exactly. But if you bought Elliot Anderson, he's not going to give you the contribution of goals that Casemiro would.
Yeah.
Wharton won't. Guimaraes would. Tonali probably won't. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird trade-off. You have to get this right.
Yeah, I think the Bruno Guimaraes stuff, that does intrigue me because I do look at him and think,
he's got 9 goals this season.
I would like to see what that would look like, but I don't know if is there any truth in it, Crook, or is it just kind of whispers at this point?
I think he's probably on a long list of targets for the reasons that I've already explained, that they're looking for someone who's got the sort of Premier League pedigree and the Premier League appearances to his name. So I think that makes a lot of sense, but I think out of the two, Tonali would be higher up in the thinking of Manchester United. I think probably the one more likely to leave Newcastle in the window as well.
Yeah. Another one for the future. You talk about someone who is the future of Manchester United. JJ Gabriel. 18 goals in 21 under-18s games. I think he's still 15, last time I checked. He might be 16 now, but last time I checked he was 15. Appearing regularly in first-team training. The kid looks special. Of course, don't get carried away. No. Don't think he's the next Messi. Don't think he's the next Yamal, etc., etc. However, you don't train with the main squad.
It's not by accident.
Exactly.
You've not walked onto the wrong training
Max
pitch,
Dalman at Arsenal, and even he, like you say, got to put him to the side now. But he came on in a couple of games early on in the season. But is he one where you're looking at next season potentially could be his breakout in the first team? Because they, with all the will in the world of trying to do that, let's just not. Sometimes the kids are just good enough, and they to kick down the door. Yeah,
I think it's almost maybe worked in his favour that there aren't loads of games, so he's not really going to have those chances, that it's just kind of easing him in a little bit more gently of, you're training with the first team, you're learning lots, give it the summer, come back, and then we've got, hopefully we're going to be competing long term in 4 competitions. We're not going to give them all up in, the first game of the FA Cup or the League Cup, fingers crossed. So though that will bring opportunities. So it is really important with these young players that we protect them. But like you say, you've got to balance it out of protecting and nurturing a young star, but also giving them the opportunities. And I think we've seen Arsenal with Darwin do that quite well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think maybe following a similar model. But yeah, it's exciting. But you've also, like I say, you've got to give them the opportunities, because if this guy is as special as we all think, there will be other clubs that will come knocking.
Yeah, well, Barcelona were reportedly trying to prize him away, and United sort of give him a lot of promises to say, you're going to train with the first team, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and he signed a new deal. But he will be hot property, and he will be looking to play men's football soon. I think you get to the summer, I think it probably helps that there's a World Cup and there's so many players that are away. So when it's time for tour will probably be in Europe, what I'm hearing, but by the time it's time for pre-season, a lot of players could still be away, so you need to use the youngsters. Again, and he's got a really good opportunity to see what happens there.